Hello and a warm welcome to the program People, Politics and Power. Again, we are set to analyze issues behind the news. I am Imoni Amarere. Now, in our last conversation here, we sought to unravel some of the motivations behind the recent developments in local government administration, particularly in Edo State. Recall that all 18 local government chairmen in the state were suspended for 2 months by the State House of Assembly for refusing to subject their financial dealings to legislative scrutiny. Following from that, there have been a gale of impeachments of the chairmen by their various legislative councils, ostensibly triggered by allegations of financial impropriety and abuse against the chairman by the state governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo. These developments have again thrown up questions about the place and role of local government councils as a third tier of government. Against the backdrop of the financial autonomy granted local councils by the Supreme Court last July in its judgment, concerns are being expressed about the managerial ability of politicians and administrators alike at that level of government. Now, governance at that level is actually designed to deliver redevelopment to our rural areas and communities. So what are the contemporary concerns in the local government administration? What are the roles and responsibilities of the critical stakeholders in the running of that tier of government? What are the legal and structural challenges that local governments are likely to face in an era of financial independence as granted by the Supreme Court judgment? These are some of the issues we'll be looking at today on the program, and we'll be getting to meet our guest analyst when we return from this very short break. Stay with us.
Of our dream, the Nigeria we need is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria, which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must watch. People, politics, and power on AIT.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back. It's People, Politics and Power. Today we are looking at some of the critical issues in local government administration in Nigeria. And I'm joined at the moment by the National President of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, Ambali Akim Olatunji. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Olatunji.
Good afternoon to our viewers across the globe. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Right. We'll also be joined later on by Mr. Samuel Akala Gajere, who is a former local government chairman in a local government area in Nasarawa State, Karo local government area of Nasarawa State. He will be joining us shortly. Of course, we also invited to join us Alhaji Bello Lawal, who is the national president of Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ARGON. We hope he's able to join us. But Mr. Olatunji, let's begin with you. We are probably entering a new era of local government administration, especially with financial autonomy that has been granted to the local governments. First, what are your thoughts on the future of local government administration in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. This is an era that we call return to the glorious era of local government system in Nigeria, where local government is returned back to functionality and the local government will have to perform optimally for the betterment of Nigerian people. Pre-1999 Constitution as amended, local government has enjoyed financial autonomy. That was the era of the free director of road, food, road, and rural infrastructure. That was a follow-up to local government reform of 1976 that professionalized local government system. Then you see local government in action working. You see local government that is able to open up rural roads. You see local government that is capable of providing functional healthcare services called primary healthcare. You see local government that provide functional primary education, where you see inspector of schools going from one school to another to ensure quality assurance. You see a local government that was supplying communities with transformers. You see a local government that was able to tar roads, and local government was able to provide vocational skill acquisition and empowerment for rural women and the youth. So we are happy, we are excited, and we welcome this new development. It shows the commitment on the part of Mr. President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who did not pay lip service to growth and development of Nigeria. We believe that development must be cascaded to the rural area, to the bottom up. Development was bottom-up approach. What we are going to witness is a tremendous transformation and development of all communities in Nigeria, because 70% of Nigerian population reside within the rural community setting. And out of that 70%, 72% of that 70% are where the poorest of the poor reside. If we are serious about stemming the tide of insecurity, stemming the tide of poverty, stemming the tide of food insecurity, stemming the tide of meaningful growth and development, providing employment for the youth, then local government autonomy is the way to go. We say salute to Mr. President and we commend him, and we also avow that we will not let him down. If local government autonomy take effect, within the next 3 months, you are going to see transformation in Nigeria. That is our belief. Thank you.
Mr. Olatunji, it's a good thing that you recognize that the local governments are actually the sources of development for the rural people, for the grassroots across Nigeria. What do you think went wrong between the last time there was local government autonomy and, say, in the last 25 years, for instance, when Nigeria returned to democracy? What went wrong? Why did that whole process change?
You see, the problem was that the 1999 constitution never emphasized this kind of political leader at the state level that will suddenly wake up and trample on the rights of Nigerian masses, violate the constitution violently, seize the political independence of local government, financial independence of local government, administrative independence of local government. That was majorly what accumulated into dysfunctionality of local government system in Nigeria. And the implication is that that subnational government that was crippled over time led to insurrections, led to neglect of rural communities, led to hopelessness, political exclusiveness, that now make Nigeria to be asking what is the importance and the merit of democracy to military regime. God forbid, we believe that local government as subnational government is the closest to the
Well, we appear to be having some glitches with the network there.
It's the most strategic, most relevant. That's not there. Once Nigeria gets it right. So our belief is that, one, the lacuna in 1999 constitution that eroded the fiscal autonomy under section 162, that created joint account allocation committee, which later served as a conduit pipe through which fund meant for development and growth at subnational level was siphoned. The drafter of the constitution never envisaged this. Their intent was that there must be a basket whereby full of funds will be made available. That is, the federal allocation coming into that pool of funds, into that basket, and also the 10% IGR generated across the local government in the state will be put into that pool of funds, which will make enough funds available for day-to-day runnings of government and business at the local government level. But instead of that, alas, the fund received from the federal allocation never hit the account of local government. And even the IGR was never paid to local government account. And to make the matter worse, the Schedule 4, the fourth schedule of the Constitution that created the collectible of local government were applied in breach, which means the IGR meant for local government, like the collection of rates at motor parks and garages, were diverted by state government. The collection of advertisement rates were diverted and collected by state government. The collection of tenement rate by local government was hijacked by state government under land use decree. So the collection of revenue on refuse, evacuation, and marriages, even primary health care, were hijacked by state government. That was majorly responsible for the parlous nature of local government in Nigeria.
So what you have said now is that poor funding and political interference from state governments has been responsible for most of the malaise we have seen at local government level. Now, when you put those two factors together and recall that in some instances, local governments are said to have received very humongous sums of money. For instance, the current situation in Edo State, where they said local governments received about 83 billion over a 15-month period, and yet there's hardly anything to show for it. Is it the elected officials at the local government level, or indeed the bureaucrats, the workers, the employees at the local government level that are mismanaging those resources?
Well, that one is only a small screen, and is what I call names calling to hang a goat. For example, we have said that no local government has direct access to joint account allocation committee. What is happening is that local government chairmen will be asked to come together, decide that they have received money which they have not received. No local government, including Edo, got up to 25% of their federal allocation. I expect Mr. Governor to do a due diligence on this. And the way to go is not to act in haste. The law says local government control a fund. Let the public account allocation committee, public account committee, or the EFCC individually do the investigation themselves without undue political influence from the governor. All of us know that naturally in Nigeria, once an opposition party wins an election, the first thing to go for it is going after the local government, whether they have acted well or not. But I want to say that since the issue is in court, I will not be competent to pass more comment on this. But one thing is clear, we should not go in haste to say all chairmen of Edo are right, all bureaucrats are right, or they are wrong, until due diligence is done. Singularly suspending them against the Supreme Court judgment is not the best way to go.
All right, Mr. Olatunji, let me push that a bit further. What do you, as a local government, an official of NOGE, and leaders of the leader of local government employees in Nigeria, what is the expected role and responsibilities of the civil servants at that local government level? I ask that question against the backdrop of the fact that there have been claims that indeed the local government chairmen are not the accounting officers of the local governments, and that those who are accounting officers are actually civil servants within the local government administration.
Yes, I'm even one of them because I'm an head of local government administration. You can see we are doing this interview right in my office, Governor's Office. But one thing is clear. If someone is chief accounting officer and he does not preside over finances of local government, or does not preside over allocation and appropriation of funds, then it shows it's as if you are calling somebody chief security officer without control of commissioner of police and director of SSS. That is the scenario. The chairman of local government is the chairman of finance and general purpose committee that approve projects, that approve disbursement, and also do the budget. So if somebody, this blame game does not even arise because we know that local government is not even having access to their allocation. So what we need to do is that let us work to make fiscal autonomy work first. Let local government receive their allocation so that we will be able to know who to be accused.
Well, there is a ray of hope that beginning with this month, this January, that the direct allocation to local governments will begin from the federation account. Now, in the past, a group has claimed that only about 20% of the federal allocations to local governments actually gets to them, and that the remaining 80% is unaccounted for, maybe at state level and all of that. Can we run with that kind of narrative?
That is true, and that was the spirit behind the federal government approaching Supreme Court to affirm the political autonomy of local independence of local government and fiscal autonomy for local government. That is why, let me tell you, brother, if the local government allocation like has been increased by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's removal of subsidy, that is more than 100% really get to local government. Activities will return to local government immediately. Roads will be opened up. Poverty will be addressed. Portable water supply should be the way to go. And again, local government should be able to address the issue of alternate energy. There are some little communities that only need solar energy. They don't need electricity. What they need is solar energy. And because local government has been denied access to our location, that is why local government appear helpless. So the way to go is that let fiscal autonomy take effect. We, as a responsible union, have recommended to that technical committee the way to ensure we have transparency and financial credibility at local government. Let me also open you up to this. Number one, we suggested that the audit unit of local government should be elevated to a full-fledged audit department that will be independent to carry out independent survey, raise audit alarm, and also liaise with anti-corruption agencies to draw attention to financial infraction at local government level. We also said that the procurement policy at the federal and state level must take full effect at the local government level, so that contract award, implementation, and completion will follow due diligence. We in NOGE also recommended that we need to strengthen the Local Government Service Commission, which is the body that recruits, supervise, transfer, discipline workers, so that they should be insulated from politicians, so that they will be able to carry out quality assurance, improve productivity at local government level. We also said that all these agencies that are handling local government payment here and there must be inclusive of chairman of local government, representative of ALGO, so that the local government pension board, we must have a chairman there. The SUBEP, we must have a chairman there. The Local Government Service Commission must have a chairman there, so that chairman members of ALGO should be able to take full control of these agencies. How can you be spending money or recruiting workers for somebody without its involvement? So we also said that there must be monitoring committee, interministerial monitoring committee, that will include the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Budget, Federal Account Allocation Committee, NOGE, and Youth Medical Workers Union, that should carry out periodic tracking of local government allocation. We also recommended that local government allocation must be published every month in the national dailies. Don't forget that we are in an era of social media. If youth know what comes to their local government, no chairman will be able to say that he has no money to carry out meaningful projects and programs at the local government level. And we are also partnering with INCPC and EFCC to make sure that we call what we call those who raise alarm when we see infraction. And we are also recommending that local government legislative arm, there is need for Ministry of Social Duty and Intergovernmental Affairs to scale up their knowledge, so that their oversight function will be well done. Budget must be complied with. There must be budget discipline at local government level. Thank you.
Now, as it is today, Mr. Olatunji, the Local Government Service Commission is actually a creation of the various state governments, and is created and controlled and directed by the state government, as it were. Now, that body, as it is today, as constituted today at the various state levels, should it continue to exist, knowing that if and when you get the local governments, get their direct allocations, there will be a Local Government Service Commission that is empowered by laws in the various states to recruit for the various local governments, and in most cases, they recruit more than what each local government requires, And some of them don't even, as we understand, don't even come to the office, don't do anything, but they get paid for doing no work.
Well, the issue of not coming to work does not arise in local government. I also know you are keeping tab on federal agencies and state agencies. If there is any area that needs to be, we need to commend local government workers, we should commend them for being dutiful, patriotic, and doing their duties. That's why the fact that they are not given tools and equipment, they still go to work. Even me as the national president of the union, I told you I'm in my office. So in local government, because we know ourselves and the community around to monitor you, it is practically difficult for you. But I also know there are exceptions. Areas that are ravaged by banditry, insurgency, in more than 12 local governments. Boko Haram has seized the whole control of the communities. You don't expect local government workers to go and resume there and be killed. In Zamfara, we also know that some areas are affected. Those ones are force majeure. Those ones are areas that are exempted. But apart from that, in the south where I'm from, what will you be doing at home? But I also know that some of the local government workers are field officers. They are not necessary to be at the local government. I'm one of them. As a social worker, I'm supposed to be on the field. I work on Sunday, I work on Saturday. Medical department are not supposed to be there. Agric are not supposed to be there. So many works are supposed to be on the field. So some of us too, if somebody comes to local government and see the population of maybe two departments out of 9, they will be saying, where are they? They are already in the field. The revenue collectors are supposed to be in the market. They are not supposed to sit down as sedentary workers. So it is not correct to say local government are receiving salary without working. I may bold to say that. However, once you have federal civil service in the constitution, you have state civil service in the constitution. It is part of the marginalization of local government not to have local government service commission in the commission. Let me tell you, for quality assurance, uniformity of service, career progression, motivation, local government service commission will have to stay. For example, now, we also realize that in urban communities, in urban local government, we have number of staff that are many. While in the rural settings, they are not enough. There is need for local government service to carry out what we call establishment position and redistribute staff, number one. Also, there is need for local government service commission to do auditing of personnel. Let us establish the actual number of workers. That's why in our recommendation, we said local government should not recruit any worker for the next 1 year for both the teaching and the local government. Because local government has been rendered to a service, a non-service center, a salary payment center. We need to refocus local government to provide services for the community. That is the dream of the founding fathers of local government. And we said local government pensioners, both teachers and local government pensioners, need to be audited. Who is to do that without the commission? Then we also said that it's only salaries that should go to commission. Any other thing, let the chairman be fully in control. You can't recruit somebody on level 7 on level 1 and allow that person to remain in one local government throughout 5 years. It becomes monotonous, it's becoming unproductive, and will not carry out its efficiency. So for redistribution, we need a local government service commission that is functional. The role of local government service commission in to pretending over the pension of local government is germane. So for us, we believe that what we need to do is to expand the composition of local government service commission. In the past, local government chairmen are not involved. But this time, another local government representative of our God who will be reporting to his colleagues, we are the helm of affairs there. So that anytime we are talking, the man will be able to say, yes, this is what we want at various local governments. This is what they agree. That is it. But if we don't do that, we'll come to a state that the tribal sentiment will overshadow productivity at local government level. When somebody who is recruited, for example, in Lagos Island, who is working presently at Agege, the chairman in Agege will say he's not an indigene of his local government, he should go back to his own local government. So we don't want that. That is not a policy of employment we should subscribe to. Thank you.
Now, if you look at the 4th schedule of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended, it clearly spells out what the role, duties, and responsibilities of each local government should be. Its powers and his duties, as the case may be. Clearly, I mean, very detailed, clearly spells that out. But in recent times, we have seen situations where local governments are delving into areas that are probably not accommodated within that fourth schedule of the Constitution. For instance, we are seeing and hearing of local governments putting money aside for what they call environmental security fund. What does that represent in the local government administrative system?
Well, the issue of all the items listed in fourth schedule cannot be realized without a secured community. And it is the function of any government to provide security of life and property to all indigenes, including the local government. So, because of what they are saying, there is no community police presently. Maybe that's why they are saying environmental security. But I would have loved they put it in under community security. It's still within the purview of local government to guarantee security. Because you can't have functional education when students, pupils are being kidnapped daily. You can't have functional health services when people cannot even when people are not even safe in their community. You can't have grading of roads without opening of rural roads and going to farm to ensure food security if the community security is not enhanced. So, and it's not novel. We have been doing that before. For example, John Obafemi of Remo North local government in Ogun State bought vehicles for all the police formation under his control. Excuse me. He also provided walkie-talkie, bulletproof teachers, and vehicles. So he even built a radio station for easy transmission of distress calls and what have you. So it is not novel. Local government has always been involved regularly in enhancing community security. So it is very, very apt and it is correct.
That, of course, brings up the issue of overlapping roles and responsibilities between state governments and local governments. Shouldn't there be a streamlining of what state governments should take care of and what local governments ought to be doing, and concentrating, as it were, on development at the grassroots?
One, the type of relationship that exists under this current political dispensation is clearly stipulated in the Constitution. It says local government should participate in joint economic planning of a state. To that extent, that is clear. But even in Nigeria, between the federal and the state government, there is no clarity of functions. There are overlapping functions. Because don't forget that state government has no land. State government has no community. It is the local government that owns the community. All revenue are generated from local government. Waste of industries and companies are discharged to local government. Whatever happens, local government is the ultimate recipient of whatever happens. So for us, we believe that there are some overlapping functions. Maybe in the next amendment, when we have legislative autonomy at the state level, and we have state assemblies that can function optimally, this can be decided. It is the way to go. It is the best thing. Let us reduce the number of ministries and agencies at the federal government level, to maybe about 9. Reduce that of the state to maybe about 9 too. And also classify all other functions under local government. For example, the issue of urban planning should be under local government. Because all these overcrowdedness and what have you that we have been witnessed, the effect is on the local government. The side of effluent and waste is on the local government. Even the issue of land use decree should be structured to ensure that land belongs to local government, because that is where people reside. That is why Norgay is an apostle of the evolution of power, and power should be devolved to where people reside.
All right, let's look at the issue of revenue generation at the local government level. It appears at the moment that there is over-reliance on federal allocations to the local governments. The local governments, as you put it, are the ones that are nearest to the people, are the ones that are within the communities. How much revenue are local governments generating to execute their programs rather than continuously wait for allocations from the federal government and from state government, which, as you say, are not enough to carry out the kind of duties and responsibilities that local governments should be looking at?
First, I'm able to say that the federal allocation being received by local government is more than enough. It's enough to meet the day-to-day activities of local government. As a technocrat, that is the position. Number two, that does not mean they can't generate extra revenue to go beyond the limit. But the fundamental problem is that state government has used this subsidiary law to principal law, which is the constitution, to outlaw collection of revenues that are classified under fourth schedule for local government collection from them. We were in court in Edo State on the issue of collection of revenue in marriages, revenues, and signage fee. A judgment was delivered in favor of our partners. The state government has no power, it has no right to do that. But alas, you know there are governors in Nigeria. Up till now, that is still not resolved. Number two is that even in Oyo State, the former Algon went to court against the incumbent governor of Oyo State, challenging his power to collect revenue at motor parks and garages, which is one of the collectible under 1999 Constitution, fourth schedule. A judgment was delivered that no state government has power to collect revenue from motor parks and garages. What did we witness? They consulted a park and garage committee, which they used to hijack the revenue of local government. But I believe that the fiscal autonomy and the judgment of Supreme Court will put this to rest once it is fully implemented.
All right, Mr. Latunji, before we bring in our other guests, let me try and get you to talk about the expected financial autonomy or direct allocation that is going to go to the local governments, hopefully from this month. Now, what are your expectations? How do you think that those resources can be better managed at that level for it to impact on the lives of people at the local government level? Now, in the past, we have heard stories of political interference by the state governments. How about 70 to 80% of what is supposed to go to the local governments is held back by the state governments. Now, those allocations are going directly to the local governments. In other words, they will have a lot more money, a lot more resources to devote to providing development, growth, and welfare of the people. How do you think that this, again, will not be mismanaged by politicians and even aided by bureaucrats at that level?
Well, thank you. The first thing is to have budget by all 774 local governments. Because without a financial roadmap, one cannot get it right. In line with the global best practices, there must be a financial roadmap. So we are already talking to all our bureaucrats. Let them assist, especially the clerk of the house, assist all the legislative arms to have a budget. And the preparation of that budget must be community inclusive. Let the chairman of local government councillors be fully involved. Let it reflect the expectation of their various communities. That's number one. Number two, don't forget that we have NFIU guidelines in place now. Mismanagement of funds will be practically difficult at local government level because all eyes are on them. Like we told our bureaucrats who are members of NOGE that this time around, if you are not careful, if you allow somebody to mislead you, you are a career officer, you are in a permanent position. If you lose, you can lose your job and end up in jail. You don't expect the union to come and defend that. This act and autonomy is to make sure life become more better for Nigerian people. That is why it is different from agitating for workers' welfare. Nonge is not leading agitation for promotion, it's not leading agitation for payment of salary and what have you. This is a pan-Nigerian struggle because we believe that once you get it right at local government level, we'll get it right to Nigeria. If you fix local government, we'll fix Nigeria very well.
Can the bureaucrats resist the politicians in that regard?
You don't resist your boss, but you make a recommendation. Let him overrule you. So that those who are supposed to look for, when they come, you will have been exonerated. If you are not also greedy, if you put your recommendation aside of local government administration properly, back up by external rules, it will be practically difficult for a politician to overrule it. But even if you overrule it, then you know that you've been exonerated because you are civil servant. You are supposed to be subordinated to the political class in the system. That is the training.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Samuel Gajere now, who is a former local government chairman in Karu local government area of Nasarawa State. But he's joining us from here in the nation's capital. He's unable to make it down to the studio. Mr. Gajere, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Welcome. So we're looking at the critical issues in local government administration, particularly against the backdrop of the fact that hopefully from this month, local governments will be getting direct allocation from the federal level, from federal allocations, rather than pass through maybe what you went through as local government chairman. You had to depend on the state government to give you your own share of the allocation before you could execute any programs and projects. Now they are going to get there directly. Will that make local government administration much easier?
Certainly. Any administration, any government, any system that calls itself a government is a function of funding. And of course, you are aware that the third tier of government is where every citizen of this country resides. Actually, the local government is supposed to be the strongest tier of government, but unfortunately, over the years, it has been abandoned. So this issue of implementation of the financial autonomy, you are aware that it is a court judgment. Some of us are saddened by the fact that the implementation of this judgment has been delayed for over 6 months now. So this issue we're talking about is about the Commonwealth of Nigeria, is about the development of our country. So when the local government now eventually will get their funds directly from the federation account, I can assure you that things will begin to change in the nation, because this is where small and medium-scale enterprises are resident. This is where every criminal activity takes place. As a local government chairman, you can be able to develop homegrown mechanisms of tackling insecurity at community level. And that is why I remain a proponent of community-based policing instead of state police. Because when you say state police, you're going back again to the era where the local government chairman will still have to seek approval of the governor to do certain things. But you have community policing drawn from communities where they can tackle these things and nip it at the bud even before they happen. So for me, this will improve local administration, improve local economy, retool the economy, and of course, get the nation working again. But I am so saddened as a Nigerian that the Supreme Court judgment will have to go through a lot of negotiations to be able to get it implemented. This does not look good for rule of law as far as I'm concerned.
What do you anticipate would be the relationship between local government chairmen and state governors in this dispensation?
Well, I hold a honest opinion that the local government autonomy is not a regime that will usurp the powers of the state. just like the state does not usurp the powers of the federal in carrying out its constitutional responsibility. Chapter 4 of the Constitution clearly stipulates what the local government will do. So I expect that the local government will carry out its activities independently and yet interdependently. So I do not envisage any form of acrimony between the local government and the state. It's unfortunate that the state government heavily decides who wins the election to become local government chairman. But I expect the local government chairman to discharge their responsibilities in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, knowing that there is the legislative arm in the local government and there is also the state executive council of the local government, and you have directors in charge of departments of the local government who will implement activities and programs of local government. But of course, the legislature will have to appropriate funds for the local government to utilize. So I did not in any way see any reason where there will be acrimony in this regime. But I want to appeal to the state government, and especially the governors, to realize that it is time for them to allow the local government to function effectively to serve Nigerians.
Again, as a local government chairman, you must have been very active in Argon. What role do you think Argon can play in this current dispensation? As an association of local governments of Nigeria, and of course, essentially an association for politicians who contest elections to become local government officials.
I believe Argon, as the coordinating body of the 774 local government, has a lot to do in this regime. Once this money begins to hit the accounts of the local government councils, it is expected that Nigeria should see a very clear difference in terms of local administration, in terms of project implementation, in terms of capacity building for its workforce. So it behoves on the Argon now to ensure that they drive policies and programs in terms of empowering and capacitating local government councils in the country, ensure that they advocate programs and policies that will have direct bearing in the lives of Nigerians. So I believe that Argon has a lot of role to play in ensuring that local governments do not go off the line in this regime. So they have a lot in terms of ensuring that they also source other funding to complement the local government sources of funds to ensure that this regime clearly shows that this is where the solution for our development lies.
Now, what would be your suggestion to your colleagues who are on the saddle right now as far as revenue generation is concerned at the local government level to supplement what they get from the federal allocation and also from state governments?
My honest advice and opinion is that, look, if you're fortunate to be local government chairman at this time, this is the time for you to put your people first. First, the local government has areas where they collect taxes, clearly enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the states that have gone ahead to enact what they call central revenue collection system, where the state government continue to usurp the power of the local government in terms of revenue generation, those should be abolished forthwith. And local government chairmen must rise to the occasion to show leadership, to show capacity in terms of meeting the needs of their people. Yes, you're not going on a collusion course with the governor, though he influenced your election to become local government chairman, but you will be held accountable for all the funds that will come to the local government. Of course, these funds will not be enough because there's the minimum wage implementation that will come after this regime kickstarts. So you will need to raise other revenues to show up your funding to be able to meet up with your obligation. So I advise local government chairmen to remain focused, not to be distracted by the fact, oh, this is financial autonomy, so I am now in charge of my affairs. Yes, you're in charge, but of course, it goes with a lot of responsibilities. So I urge them to seek to improve their capacity and the capacity of their workforce to be able to meet up with the challenges that is coming with the financial autonomy.
All right, Mr. Gajere, thank you so much. We must call it quits here at this point. We apologize we were unable to join much earlier. But thank you so much, Samuel Akala Gajere, former local government chairman, Karu Local Government Council of Nasarawa State. In fact, he was a two-time chairman of that local government area. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, Ambali Akim Olatunji is the National President, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE. He joined us all the way from Abeokuta in Ogun State. Thank you so much, Mr. Olatunji, for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Anytime, any day.
Welcome.
Continue to show for a better Nigeria.
Thank you so much. All right, that's our program for today. Thank you for investing your time with us. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.